Hello, this is Mesh, and welcome to this Twin Peaks Season 3, Episode 3 Review Recap. I guess some thoughts and theories as well thrown in there. So before I proceed, this will contain spoilers. So if you've not watched the episode, pause this, then come back and have a look when you've finished. So what I'll do is, I'll just give you my thoughts on how I thought the episode went. So I did like this episode. I think this was probably my favourite episode so far out of the three that we've had. It's probably because, in a way, it makes more sense. There was a linear story going on, and it was easy to follow. Whereas the other episodes, they had that component in there as well, but also it was quite spaced out and multiple things going on. I mean, these Twin Peaks is hard enough to follow as it is, but when you have a whole lot of characters doing a whole lot of stuff, it's very hard. But this one was, more centric around Coop. Coop returning back to, I guess, our plane of existence, if you will, and what was happening with him. So it seemed to be quite easy to follow, and I think I enjoyed it more because of that. So let's start with the intro scene, or the dreamlike area. So the last episode before, episode 1 and 2, we see that Coop is trying to return, or he's been told to return. So he seems to be, I guess, not all there consciously. And he's just kind of, being pushed along. And we see that again here. So he's in a dreamlike area. So he starts, and it looks like he's on a boat. But then he goes into the room, or the building, and it changes, and it looks like he's on a spaceship. So it's a pretty weird scene. And the way it was represented as well, with the strange kind of skipping sound, and the skipping visuals as well. I really did like it. I really did put it in that weird dream. Exactly like having a weird dream that you can't understand or make sense of. It was pretty impressive how it all came about. So after we see him meet this lady, she's not able to communicate with him, but she takes him outside and she flicks a switch. Now that whole area seems to be a almost like an aerial or electrical componentry, which is making sense as to how they're traversing from the Black Lodge, if you will, to the world which we're in, I guess you could say. So she flicks a switch, and it breaks that dreamlike state as well, and kind of wakes Coop up a little bit, I think. And it then breaks that sleep state. She gets blown off into space. If you've not seen the episode, what I'm saying must make no sense whatsoever. But yeah, so she gets blown off into space, and we see Coop go back inside. And then there's another lady there, who could be the same one, but with eyes, because the lady before had no eyes. So she says get out, because the mother is coming, or her mother is coming. So we see Coop go through the electrical componentry. Whilst this is going on, we see the shadow version of him. Now, if you remember from the end of Season 2, the shadow version of Coop came out when he went into the Black Lodge. So that's what's out in the world now. So the shadow version of Coop seems to be going through the same process, but it's unwilling. He's unwilling to go through it. And it's actually, there's more than one, but they're unwilling to go through. And they seem to die because of that. So we see the one in the car that has a car crash. He seems to die because he's unwilling to go through the portal. Or maybe he was going to die anyway. But my interpretation is they were unwilling, hence they died. There's more to those characters as well. I'll go over that after I kind of just cover off what my this sequence of events. So we see Coop is now in place of Dougie. So Dougie's gone into the Black Lodge, and Coop is there. And the prostitute, I think that can be the only interpretation that I come up with. That helps him a little bit, and gets him to the car. Takes him and drops him off at the casino. So kicks him out the door pretty much. And we see Coop is in a state of, I almost want to say, like a child, a very young child that's just repeating and learning so quickly at the same time. It was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty good acting as well. I quite liked that. It seemed that every step that he was taking, he was learning, and I thought it was quite cool. So did you see the wavering image? First off, I didn't know what it was, but I think it was actually the Black Lodge. So you see the floor and the red curtain. So the Black Lodge kind of shimmering over the slot machines. And he pulls on them. Hello. That whole scene I thought was amazing. I really liked it. I don't know why I liked it so much, but I thought it was very funny as well. So when that was going on, once again, he still seems to be learning as he's going as well. But he wins a whole lot of money because he seems to be that the Black Lodge is helping him, or maybe he's using a component that's still in his mind from the Black Lodge, some sixth sense or something like that, to actually win those machines. So he wins a lot of money. Then we see from that the staff come out and help him, and he must eventually tell them who he is, because then the FBI headquarters in Philadelphia gets a call and they help him out. So that was, I guess, the overview of what happened with the main component of the story. There's a lot more in there. So I guess my first breakdown as to what I want to talk about is, so who is Dougie? Because the first episode we saw what I thought was Coop's shadow. So the guy with long hair, the Coop with long hair, and how he's, seems to be a murderous evildoer, which would make sense to be from the shadow, being the shadow of Coop out of the Black Lodge. And then we see Dougie's come into us. Now, there's a few things that I want to mention, because for me, the character Dougie and the long-haired Coop, so I think that is almost a parallel with Philip Gerard. So if you remember from season 1 and 2, the one-armed man. So he was, the same as Bob. He was a killer, or whatever you want to call it, or a demon, or whatever your interpretation is of those things. So I wonder if this is the same circumstance. So we see maybe the shadow came out, and instead of severing the arm, it was some other component here that Dougie was made. The random person that goes along with his life, similar to what Gerard was doing. Because remember, Gerard would take medication to he cut the arm off because the arm was the evil component, but he was still had a connection to it. So I wonder if Dougie's the same. So this, the long-haired Coop, the evil one, the one that killed people in the first episode, is that the arm comparison of the shadow Coop? And then also the idea that when we saw the car crash and the long-haired Coop struggling, he was saying his arm's numb, which for me is another reference to that same scenario of that he's the evil component of Dougie, and Dougie's kind of just the vessel. So then we see they both get sent back to the Black Lodge. Well, the long-haired Coop just dies, and also, what kind of throws it all off a bit is, where was it, that Gerard says, you've been manufactured for your purpose, and that purpose has been fulfilled. And maybe the purpose was just to hold the place in the universe of Coop, the physical presence. I don't know. I think we're going to learn a lot more about this as the season goes on. But for now, that's kind of my interpretation of the Dougie character. But there's going to be, I think there's a lot more backstory with him, because we see that there's people trying to kill him. So you had the sniper and the person that placed the bomb under the car. So that, for me, there's got to be more backstory coming from that, because you can't just leave it there. So I think there's a relationship as well. So we got the Jade, who was the prostitute that dropped him off. So she seems to know him a bit more than just a random customer, I think. And we got the drug addict, which was in the house opposite that house. And we have those people trying to kill him. So I wonder if Dougie just turned out to be a drug peddler, and he's, and the lady opposite the house, the drug addict, which we saw taking the drugs and drinking with the little kid in the room as well. So maybe she was getting the drugs from Dougie, and something's gone on, and that's why they're going to kill Dougie. That's why they were going to try to kill Dougie. And I guess the question is now, do the same people that want to kill Dougie, are they going to now go for Coop? So that'll be interesting to see where that goes. But I think there's definitely another story we're going to get more backstory on that. I haven't seen episode 4. For me, it'll come out next week. So for me, episode 3. But I know if you have subscribed to it online, I think you get up to episode 4 at the moment. So yeah, pretty weird, those characters. Dougie character. So once again, that's my overview of what I think Dougie, and how there seems to be 2 Dougies and 1 Coop. I think that's my interpretation of it at the moment, but that'll probably change because I'm probably completely wrong. But by all means, put your comments on that below. Okay, so the other thing I want to mention is it's pretty cool that we see the FBI is investigating the glass box. So we see the Cole and you want to think it's Rosenfield is investigating it. So they're both investigating that glass box. And we see a bit more information on it. The police went around to see them, and they were just baffled about what was going on. And the cameras did catch the entity. which is pretty cool. But they didn't catch much of it, which is also pretty interesting. And it's cool that they are now Coop is back as well, so that's cool. Agent Coop is back. And we see a bit of a scene around in Twin Peaks, the deputy sheriff, and the receptionist, and what was it? Is it Lucy, Andy, and Hawk? Yeah, they're the ones. So yeah, in Twin Peaks, so we see them investigating, because remember the log lady told Hawk last episode that the stomach is missing. So I wonder what they're looking for, and Lucy seems to think it was the chocolate that she ate when the initial investigation was going on. And I just like those characters. They've picked up exactly where they were before, and I don't know. I like it. I think they're really cool. I can understand if people don't like them, because it's so, once again, it's so vague and random that if you're not familiar with it, you might just go, what is this? It's nuts. But anyway, so a few random points I want to point out as well. Some things that we might learn more about in the future, but at the moment it's just like, what is going on with this? But if you know, put some comments in below. So my first point would be, what is Jacoby doing painting the shovels gold? I don't know. I can't figure that one out. I don't know. That's going to be amazing to find out why. What is the logic behind that? Will Hawk, Lucy, and Andy find out what's missing, and is it the chocolate? I don't think it's the chocolate, but it might be something which, they figured out from that time thinking about the chocolate. Another what the hell moment would be when Coop's in his dream state and the lady flies out to space after pulling down the switch. Whose is the giant head which floats along and says is it Blue Rose? I have no idea what that's about. If anyone has any thoughts, put that below. That stumped me. I can't wait to see what happens next. I put here the junkie. I think the junkie, there's a tie-in with Dougie and some dodgy dealings he's done. He looked a bit unsavory, that character, with Jade the prostitute and the junkie and the two killers. That's the hitmen that seem to be hired to kill him. I think there's a story there. Maybe we'll learn more about that as we go on. And probably the last point, which is very vague, was in that dream state time. And we saw when Coop initially looked at the electrical component on the wall, it said number 15 on it. When the lady flicked a switch and the key came back, it said number 3 on it. I can't see anything obvious which would make sense for that numbering. If anyone knows, if anyone's seen anything, put it below, because I'd be interested to know. So it'll be cool to have a conversation about all these points. But I'll leave this video here as I just want to do a brief recap and put those points out there, and also just mention my theories about a couple things. So I hope you enjoyed this little episode. Stay tuned for more next week, and subscribe for future content from me around Twin Peaks and other things as well coming up shortly. I might cover Fear of the Walking Dead as well, that's just coming out next week, I believe. So until next time, this is Mesh, and I'll see you later.